For this lesson, I've created another special version of the Robin Eschner painting site. So the first thing I want you to do is to load that site into Dreamweaver. Remember, you can do that from the Files panel. Just choose Manage Sites. We want a new site. And let's just call the site Robin-AP Divs, because we're going to use this version to create divs with absolute positioning. If you click on the Browse button, you'll find this version of the site in your project files in Part 1, Lesson 7. It's called Robin Eschner AP Divs. And let's go ahead and identify the main images folder. You can add in the robineschner.com URL if you want, but since we're just working locally, it's not necessary. And click OK. And you see this version of the site is now displayed here. Remember, you can always switch from one site to another once you have them loaded into Dreamweaver. And don't be confused by the fact that there are now multiple versions of this same site. You want to be working on the one called AP Divs. In this lesson, we'll be building some of the pages in the Paintings section. So I want you to open the Paintings folder, and we'll start by opening one of the files in Leaves-Paintings. If your files are cut off like this and you want a little more room, you can always move the panels over to the right a little bit and just extend them out so you can better see what's happening. So let's open Leaves Paintings. We'll get to Leaves Paintings 2 in a moment for a little experimentation. But first I want you to see how this original page was designed. The actual page in this website is created using divs. You see there's a div here that controls the placement of everything on the right. There's another div that controls the placement of this big image and creates the green border around it. And of course on the left there are 3 divs, one container that is green, and then 2 smaller divs that are positioning these thumbnails in place. And if I preview this, you'll see that that div is nicely centered in the design, so whether the screen is large or small, it will always be in the center. And as you click around, you'll see that all of the pages in this section of the site are created this way. One other detail that you'll notice if you check the actual site is I've set up a rollover effect. This is actually done using Dreamweaver's swap image behavior. We'll explore that in the behaviors section in the first lesson of Part 2. But for now, I just want to show you a couple of different approaches to designing this page so that we can explore different things you can do with positioning. So at the moment, these divs are positioned so that they center on the page and they move relative to what's happening on the page. So let's close out of this. I want to show you another version of this page, one that we'll be recreating during this lesson. It's called My Leaves Complete, and it's in the My Leaves folder, just underneath Leaves and Paintings, if you have them in this order. You can double-click to open it. And on the surface, this looks pretty similar. It is a simplified page, so I haven't bothered to add the navigation elements and other things. But I want you to see when we preview this page, there's something quite different happening here. Remember, the other one's centered, and no matter what happened as we open and close the page, it always stayed centered. This one doesn't center, and that's because it was created using divs with absolute positioning. And as I covered in the first lesson, AP divs are designed to be in an absolute position on the page, so that no matter what happens with the screen resolution, no matter what happens with the size of the browser, that div will always be in the same location relative to the top and the side of whatever container that div is inside of. So these are positioned in a way that will never change whether the browser window is small or large. And that is both a benefit and a limitation of working with AP divs. As a general rule, I suggest you use the same design approach throughout a website like this. So throughout the actual Robin Eschner site that you'll find on the internet, all of the divs are centered, all of them are set to 780 pixels wide, and all of them are designed with the same basic approach. Only for this lesson and only to show you how AP divs work, I've redesigned this page as you see here.